Back in on the Black and Gold Report for another Saturday here on the UNCP Sports Network. Matt Sabados here with you. Glad you could take time out of your morning to join us to catch up on some Braves athletics. A bit of a mid-season hiatus. We had to step aside for the Daytona 500 on our station WFXB, but of course, we're back, and we've got a lot to catch you up on here on the campus of the University of North Carolina at Pembroke. First things first, Braves basketball, both the men's and the women's, getting down to the wire in terms of these Peach Belt Conference standings, seeing who will make a final push into the PBC tournament. Let's go ahead and recap for you the couple of weeks that were, first off, with the women's side of things.
Braves started the week just outside Atlanta at the Lock in Morrow, Georgia, against the Clayton State Lakers, and they were off to a fiery start. Some quality three-point shooting. Nyla Allen here on the wing. Moving into the second half down the line, the Braves found themselves up by 6 against the Lakers. Here, a 16-point advantage. The three-point shooting did not stop as the Braves continue to fight for that 8th place spot. And again, Nyla Allen getting some work in right there on the right wing, drawing the foul and helping the Braves to a fantastic victory over the Clayton State Lakers on Saturday. Moving on to Wednesday, though, the Braves had to turn their attention to Francis Marion and the Patriots. Headed into Wednesday's game, the Braves' playoff hopes were still alive, of course, holding on to that 8th place spot, but Francis Marion was off to a hot start through that first period. They outscored the Braves by a wide margin. Onto the second period, it was already a 14-point advantage before Alicia Hardy got the work done there. Aaliyah Farmer in the paint here. Hardy and Farmer, two of the top scorers on the team. Hardy doing the best work defensively with 3 blocks. That nice pass there from Locklear to give Aaliyah Farmer some more work off the glass. She had her second career double-double against Clayton State and continued the quality work against Francis Marion. Some great ball movement in general from UNC Pembroke, but they just weren't able to close things out, even with the fantastic work from girls like Nyla Allen once more, making it 21 straight games with double-digit points. Francis Marion blowing the doors off of UNC Pembroke, but fortunately, into that game, the Braves only needed a loss from Young Harris to pick up a conference tournament berth. There's one of those 3 blocks from Alicia Hardy we mentioned earlier, and UNC Pembroke was gifted that Young Harris loss. So they are in the conference tournament. They'll head to Dahlonega, Georgia to face off against the North Georgia Nighthawks.
Season's still not over yet, though, for the Lady Braves. They still have to hold off Flagler and the Saints today at 1:30. We'll bring you all the action live on the UNCP Sports Network. I'll be on the call, so be sure to catch it on our YouTube page, UNCP Braves at YouTube. We're going to turn our attention now to the men's side of things, though, because they have a lot going for them, but things are getting a little shaky after a closely contested match on Saturday against Clayton State. Let's go ahead and give you the full recap of the couple of weeks that were for Braves basketball.
Well, following that loss to Clayton State, UNC Pembroke needed to bounce back in order to stay atop the Peach Belt Conference standings, and it was a fantastic neon night showing that gave them just the boost they needed. Brandon Watts with some fantastic passing in the lane to set up Tyrell Kirk. That's how the game started. Tyrell Kirk had a couple of big threes to his name, as did Brandon Watts after going 4 for 8 on the road against the Lakers just this past Saturday. UNC Pembroke against the number 3 team in Francis Marion, and some fantastic work all around. Micah Kinsey, a great little lay-in there. Not even midway through the first period before we see our first thunderous dunk from the 6th man for UNC Pembroke, James Murray Boyles. Braves had a really fast start to this contest, aided by guys like Tyrell Kirk. Once again, a nice 3-ball. Akia Pruitt there with a fantastic little dunk once more. UNC Pembroke some great 3-balls, but moving into the second half, Francis Marion started to claw back ever so slightly. See here, they brought it back within 3 points, but a great and one opportunity for Akia Pruitt to maintain the lead for UNC Pembroke. Knotted at 53 here. A great putback for Akia Pruitt to keep the Braves on top. 55 all it stands. Great defense in the lane for UNCP to keep Francis Marion from taking the lead. They never led the entirety of the game. Nice pass down low. Big man to big man. Brandon Watts to Nigel Grant. Braves maintaining the lead once more. Watts putting in the work on the other end. A fantastic denial of the conference's leading scorer, Dietrich Browning. James Murray Boyles through traffic. Braves were firing on all cylinders, through all 5 men on the floor, en route to a 66-60 victory at the end of the day, capped off by David Struthers' fantastic 3-ball.
One more game to get it done, the season finale from Lumbee Guarantee Bancorp. 3:30 the scheduled tip-off. It'll come after the conclusion of the women's game at 1:30 though. So be sure to just stick around on the UNCP Sports Network, our YouTube page, to catch it live. The Braves and the Saints coming your way in just a few hours' time. Let's go ahead and wrap things up here in this first segment with Braves wrestling. They have finished the season bit of a remarkable fashion. I'm not going to tell you too much here. Just go ahead and watch this.
I think you put us against anyone in the country, we know we're going to out-condition them and freaking just fight for 7 minutes.
Nearly a pin. He can pull Jacobson down just a little bit on the shoulder. There it is. Down to 5 seconds. Jaquan McIntyre with the lift. That should do it.
There you go.
Down to 3 seconds. The bench is exploding. Jaquan McIntyre, a phenomenal victory. It's a tug of war with Crocker's leg. Tia wins it. This crowd is into it. He's on his feet. There it is. What a victory!
With the comeback win!
Gibbs is stunned!
You know, when people don't see the blood, sweat, and tears, figuratively speaking, that these guys put in, and for them to be able to showcase that on the mat, grinding with each other out there, competing, and you know, their fans really came out and showed their love for them, and it was exciting to be a part of that.
Well, there you have it. ECAC champions in Braves wrestling knocking off 2 nationally ranked opponents in the process. NCAA Super Regionals going on right now in Indianapolis, Indiana. Go ahead and make your way over to uncpbraves.com to follow along, see how the Braves are faring, and if any of them can make their way to the national tournament. One more break right now. When we come back, segment number 2, and we're joined by the swimming and diving head coach, Rhonda Blank. Their season just recently coming to a close. We're going to get a recap from her when we return. Matt Sabados with you on the UNCP Sports Network. Keep it here. More Black and Gold Report coming up next. Back in on the Black and Gold Report here on the UNCP Sports Network. First of our 2 interviews today, we're sitting down now with the head coach of the swimming and diving team, Miss Rhonda Blank. Coach, as always, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here on the show. Now, we want to catch the folks up on how the season's gone for you, because just recently coming to a close, but you guys got a heck of a lot done. Only a second-year program. What are your thoughts at the end of the season, not only performance-wise, but still trying to establish yourself in the area?
I think we really did close the season out very strong. The girls that I was able to bring in, including the returners that came back, worked really well together with one goal in mind, and that was to always be moving forward, lifting each other up, building each other up, and just really going out there and trying to work as a team to work together in the relays to shave time off of our times, but also, you know, individual personal bests. And they just did a really good job.
Combining the individual personal bests and, of course, the high teamwork from your team, eclipsing 10 victories in only your second year. That's a big accomplishment. How impactful is that, not only to your young team, but for future recruits that might be looking here at UNC Pembroke? Yeah,
so with the returners, you know, last year I think we won 2-3 meets. This year, top in 10 meets was really good and impactful for them, really giving them hope and drive. And for the freshmen that came in, having such a successful year has really been beneficial for them, because they know that the only place we got to go is up and moving forward and setting our ambitions high for next year.
Now, of those freshmen and, of course, the rest of the women on your team, who are some of the key standouts that fans might not be aware of? Myself personally, I know I found Megan Hunter, Abby Wood have been key swimmers, impactful combatants on your team this season. Who are some of the other names that we might not know of?
Sonia Gueveo definitely stands out in my mind, because she swims all strokes and is so willing for the team as well as for me and for herself to be placed in any position that we might need her at. And she's very flexible, does very well in all of the strokes, and just couldn't ask for a better, well-rounded swimmer.
As the season had started to come to a close, your team went on down to Columbus, Georgia, the Suncoast Conference meet. How was that just as an experience from a coaching standpoint, and of course, seeing your team experience it? A few personal bests were set at that meet. You guys looked to have a lot of fun. Just how was that overall?
Oh, it was awesome. You know, last year we didn't have a last chance conference meet to go to, so we finished our last dual swim meet, and it's like our season was just over. That was it.
Yeah.
This year it was a nice closure for the girls, a nice team bonding opportunity for us. We were gone from Wednesday to Saturday night. And it was just an absolutely wonderful experience. Some of the girls had, like you said, set personal bests there. They get the experience of a bigger swim meet like that, spanned over a 3-day period. Seeing some teams that we had already met previously in our season, and then getting exposed to some bigger teams more times. They're looking at what they need to do in the water as well as out of the water to get bigger, better, stronger. And I really feel like that's going to carry over into next year. And we're looking forward to next year's last chance conference meet, possibly in Orlando, Florida.
That'd
Yes.
Nice. Well, talking about next year, and of course talking about your team building on what they had done last year into this year with actually getting to compete in the last chance meet, what are some of the things that fans can look to expect from your team next season? Potential recruits, potential swimmers here now that are really looking to build on something into next season. What can we expect?
Next season, I think our practices are going to become more vigorous, more land-based activities, lifts, conditioning as well, with the conditioning coach that was working with us this year. He's doing a really great job. I know he's only been here a couple of months, but doing an awesome job with the girls, and we're looking to expand more time on with him with land-based activities. And I think even next year we're going to see more PRs set with the recruits that I do have coming in. Those girls, we did some early signing, and they're excited to be here, excited to be a part of this family. And I just think the cohesion between the team is going to continue to grow, and we're going to become bigger, better, stronger.
All right, Coach. Well, here's to seeing a lot of those personal bests being set next year, and of course, congrats on the success this season.
Thank you.
We're going to step aside real quick right here on the Black and Gold Report. When we return, Director of the Indoor and Outdoor Track and Field Squads, Dr. Peter Ormsby, joins us in studio. Keep it here on the UNCP Sports Network. Back in on the Black and Gold Report here for segment number 3. We, of course, like to thank the swimming and diving head coach, Rhonda Blank, for joining us in the last segment. But back here in our old main studios, we're joined by the Director of Cross Country and Track and Field, Dr. Peter Ormsby. Coach, obviously, thank you for taking the time to join us today. Your season about midway through as we get ready to transition from the indoor to the outdoor real portion of the year. As the indoor season is starting to come to a close, just give me your overall thoughts on the season's its goings-on.
It's had its ups and downs. Obviously, we're not quite done yet. We've got one more. We've got a last chance meet coming up this Sunday back at JDL Fast Track up in Winston-Salem, and then hopefully in 2 weeks' time we'll be making the trip to Pittsburgh, Kansas for the indoor championships. But without having an indoor championship for indoor, we don't race as many people. We don't compete as many people. But it's more of a smaller, elite type group that we think can get on the list. And obviously, we've had some success with the hurdlers and a couple other individuals getting on that provisional list. So we'll see what happens this weekend.
Any individuals in particular that you think might be making the trip out there to Pitt State? Because they have a fantastic indoor facility. I would hope that your entire team can make it out there to see.
We're scouring the results. I know a couple of the regional conferences, SAC and Conference Carolinas, are today and tomorrow, I believe, for the conference, and then I think there's one more conference weekend when we have our last chance. So, Javon Graham, Christian Sabados are both relatively there. I think they're in the 20s. I think Javon's maybe just a little bit higher. LaShonda Tate, I think at last check was 13 to 16 range. So it's those individuals that they have to be in the top 16, maybe 17, but I know last year we had somebody 17th and first one out. So we don't want to be the first one out. We want to be the last one in. So we just have to. It's a waiting game for the next week and a half.
You mentioned LaShonda by name, only a sophomore for your squad, and she's been making some great strides. What do you think has been not only her biggest stride, but what do you think has been the key for her to make these big strides from her freshman to her sophomore campaign?
We brought in assistant coach Caleb Wise-Carver on the jump side, so it's nice to have that second set of eyes and ears for her to go back and forth with. So I think from Coach Caleb and Coach Heckeroth both being very good with their disciplines and the jumps and the sprints, LaShandra's just continuing to grow and mature every year, and it's great that she's jumping as good now indoors, and we still have outdoors to go.
How about someone like Jenna Cube too? She's been setting some personal records on the hurdles.
She never ceases to amaze me with what she's doing. Obviously, with multiple-time conference champion in her personal events, and it's just she's going to hit them. Obviously, we're trying to maintain because it is a very long season for somebody like her. When we get to the PBC championships, and she's doing multiple events on top of her specialty, so we'll see. It's keeping everybody healthy.
Well, you talk about the grind and keeping people healthy. What are some of your tools that you use as a head coach to try and go the full distance from the transition, not only to indoor to outdoor, but of course toward the end of the year?
I think it helps that we don't race everybody indoors. If we had a conference championship, obviously the travel parties every weekend would be much greater and much bigger because of those marks that we probably would have to get. But it's the jumpers can't jump every weekend, obviously, for the pounding from the triple jump to the long jump. Yeah. So it's racing people when they need to be raced and jumping when they need to jump, but really limiting some people that we know need to be contributing people as soon as we hit outdoors. And with 2 home meets in 3 weeks coming up, we definitely have to make sure that we put forth the best effort in front of the home crowds.
So it just boils down to placing the proper competitors where you think they should be placed best when it comes to a meet by meet kind of standpoint.
Exactly. Yeah. With distance athletes, we raced a very limited group. I think we raced maybe like 6 or 8 total out of a group of 20. And they didn't race every weekend, obviously, and we had very big gains in the distance group for indoors. So we're excited about that group, and we've got a very large group of freshmen on a lot of different events that we're excited to see what happens when we do get to outdoors in 2 weeks, I think, week and a half.
Now, you just said 2 weeks from the transition to outdoors as the indoor season starts to come to a close. What are some of the events that you're more excited about, some of the competitors you're more excited about when we start into the outdoor?
I think really right now, I think the hurdles group is the most exciting group on the track right now. Not to take away from any other group, but I think Coach Heckeroth's indoor men's hurdlers are, I think, ranked number 2 in the country right now as an event group. So to take that from an indoor 60 meters to an outdoor 110 and then obviously a 400 meter, that's where we're putting a lot of weight, a lot of emphasis when we do get to the scored meets, the conference championships, where we expect people to be in a scoring position. The throwers have made huge gains indoors. Like I said, the distance guys have made gains. We redshirted Silas Kipcoach indoors due to a nagging injury from cross nationals, so he has yet to race and is coming along very, very quickly for him. So there's people all over the track that we're excited to see, and some people that have not raced indoors, but we're excited to see what they do outdoors. So if I mention somebody, I'd be missing 3 other people. So. But no, I think as a whole, as a group, I think we're excited about what's going to happen.
You mentioned the red shirt of Silas. How much have you enjoyed your team's ability to fill the gap with him not being able to compete this season?
I think it's more exciting to see his reaction of how well the guys are doing. We joke around that they're coming for him, and he half jokingly, they're killing him in practice.
Well, they got a lot to live up to.
But yeah, but when we've got guys dropping 12 to 15 seconds in a 5K and walk-on guys that are dropping times like scholarship guys. So it's exciting, and he's excited, and I think he's more excited about already putting goals in place for next year for cross with how some of these guys are developing. So it's an open door with how well we can do. It's just the dedication that some of these guys have and girls have to their craft.
That's definitely the spirit of a competitor right there in Silas, that's for sure. Of course, your team, lofty goals to live up to, the women finishing second last year, the men with the conference championship. What's the message overall to your team to build and raise the bar from last season?
We know there's always a big target, especially defending and then obviously runner-up. So we're right now as teams start to open the outdoor season and start to get marks down, we're constantly scouring and just kind of comparing ourselves we know it's young, but it's a very short window to qualify for the PBC, having it, end of April, whereas some teams are having their conference championships in May. So it's really making sure that we can be hitting on all cylinders, making sure we get those conference marks, and putting ourselves in a position to, out-qualify, outlast some of these competitors. I think Embry-Riddle has shown themselves indoors to be a very stout competitor, and having competed against them at the NAI level, it's not going to take them too long to be a prominent fixture in the PBC. We just need to make sure that we're a step ahead and we're doing what we need to do.
Now, a big number of those PBC teams that could be competitors in the coming years will, of course, be showing their stuff here in Pembroke. PBC championships being played here at UNC Pembroke. How's that going to feel for your team, you think? How is that going to set up, having to defend a title for the men's side and for the women's side, having to build ahead to try and take the title on their home turf?
It's a double-edged sword. A lot of times I like to do conference championships and national championships away from home because we have more control of our kids. Obviously, being at home, there's a little more flexibility. So we're really going to try to teach our kids and tell our kids is like we're going to treat conference like an away meet. We're going to probably put them on lockdown a little bit more than we normally would. Obviously, more friends and family kind of hampers the ability to kind of segment them and really have them focused. But we're the coaching staff and I are putting pieces in place to make sure that the one focus is a defense. I think the girls, it's going to be a more lofty goal to be second, but I think as they look at results and as we develop, I think we're not out of the picture just yet. And like I said, it's outdoors. We got 21 events, so it's a long time. It's a long 3-day meet.
Well, Coach, once that comes around, of course, we wish your team good luck.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Peter Ormsby, head coach of the track and field team, and of course, cross country in the off season. But of course, Peter, we thank you for taking the time. We're going to step aside right now. When we come back, more Black and Gold Report coming your way on the UNCP Sports Network. Back in on the Black and Gold Report one final time here from our Old Main studios. That's going to do it for us. I'd like to thank all of our fantastic crew, of course, my producer Trevor Williams, and of course you for taking the time out of your Saturday to join us for some Braves athletics. Rhonda Blank, Dr. Peter Ormsby, glad they could sit down with us for today's show. And be sure to stick around for next week. We can wrap up the season that was for Braves basketball before they head in the Peach Belt Conference Tournament and see how those super regionals went for wrestling. And of course, we'll have to bring you updates from baseball and softball as well. Trevor Williams will be taking the reins next week, but be sure to join us then. This has been Matt Sabados saying thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the UNCP Sports Network.